Okay, so one of the key pieces to figuring out how to interact with your Raspberry Pi remotely is getting the IP address. And there are a number of ways to do that. Really, I'm going to cover three. The first one is very simple. If you have it plugged into a monitor with a keyboard and a mouse, you can do this to discover your IP address. If you forgot what it is, or you're in a position where you can't do the first option, then there's a second option, which I'll show you using the terminal. And then the last option, you really don't have to have a monitor or keyboard at all, but you do have to do a little bit of figuring out what's going on. So I have here a remote window into my Raspberry Pi. And if I go up to my wireless command, it will show me the wireless IP address for the machine, 192.168.230.111 in my case. Now, for some reason, I've changed the IP address for this machine because I was getting conflicts with 111, and I changed it to .55, and that's not showing up here. Not really sure why that is, but generally you can look at this first one and it should pop in for you, no problem. By the way, for all of this to work, you need to have your laptop or whatever computer you're using and your Raspberry Pi on the same subnet or using the same router. Just an FYI for that. The second way I can do this is open a terminal by coming up here and clicking. And I have a terminal window down here. And if I type in IP space addr, just like that, and again, that's IP space addr in case it's a little bit too, the print's a little bit too small for you. Taking a magnifying glass and trying to look for it. That's what I'm typing in, and press enter, and you'll get some information here. And what I'm looking for is the number here where it says WLAN 0 right here will be your wireless information, and you can go down here to iNet. And in this case, this is 192.168.230.55. Ignore the /24. That's other information that you don't need to have unless you're going to do other things with this. So that is the IP address of the Raspberry Pi if you're actually on it and looking on the monitor and want to, you have it plugged into a monitor and you just want to confirm. So that's one command to run with that. The third way that I've discovered, which is really kind of cool, I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to open up a terminal window on my computer. Do a Control-Alt-T. Now I'm in Linux, but if you go to the terminal, if you have a Mac, you can go to the terminal in a Mac, and you can also open up the terminal in a Windows computer or on a Windows machine. The information for doing that's on the interwebs, so you can do a quick Google search and get to that. In my case, I'm using this from my terminal server, terminal command prompt, and so there's a tool called arp-scan that you can use to monitor the network. To get into that, first you might need to install it. So I can do a sudo space apt space install space arp-scan like that. And to install this little utility, press enter. And the sudo always requires me to type in the password for this machine. It's elevating my privileges so I can do things on it that normally I can't do. Press enter. And of course it says in my case that it's already installed, which I tested this out before I start videoing. So the next thing, once it's installed, once it's installed, is to actually run the command. So I type in arp, or do sudo space arp-scan space -l, and that's going to give me everything on my local network. If I press enter, I now have a number of IP addresses pop up. Now, this is not the entire campus. This is just what's behind my firewall in my office, and you can see I do a lot of different experimentation and other things. But that .55 is right here. Now, to test this out, what I can do is start another terminal window, and I can do SSH space, type in tech, which is the username that I gave the Raspberry Pi when I initially set it up, and then I can type in these different IP addresses. Now, I already know .55 is working, but say I'm not sure and I want to do this last one. So I'll do 192. Well, let's do one. I'll start with the first one. 192.168.230.1. And let's see what happens when I hit enter. I'll wait here for just a second. And nothing's happening. So I can't get into it. It's just sitting there beeping at me. So I'll do a Control-C to stop that process. And hopefully on your network you only have just one or two IP addresses. One of them will be your laptop or the computer that you're using. You may have an iPhone or some other things on there. When I did this in my apartment this morning, what came back was that I had a Roku, and it was identified on this list here. But when it says unknown, it's not returning any information about what's associated with that IP address. But if I do SSH space tech at 192.168.230.55 and hit enter or press enter, I get this, and it comes right back instantly, and that it means that it's probably my Raspberry Pi. So are you sure you want to continue connecting? I'll type yes, press enter, type the password in that I set when I was setting up the OS, press enter, and now I'm into that Raspberry Pi. So if I type raspi-configure, oh, I need a sudo in here. Just like that, press enter, and of course, oh, it's raspi-config, sorry, like that. Then I get this menu, and I can actually then go ahead and set up SSH. So if I go to interface options here, press enter, and I go to my VNC. VNC is what I want to set up. Press enter. Would you like for the server to be enabled? Initially mine was set to no. Flip it over to yes. Press enter. It's enabled. I press OK. And now what I can do is come down here to finish. Like that. I'll move this window off to the side. I have my VNC viewer over here, and I already have my IP address here that's put in, the .55. I'll press connect, and I'll say yes. Type in my username that, again, I gave when I was setting up the SSD card. So this will be tech, and the password will be password. Press enter. And now I am remoting into my Raspberry Pi on my computer, and I don't need to have a monitor, a mouse, or a keyboard to do this. So, oh, happy day when I figured this one out, because I'm sorry you guys had to go through buying some stuff, but this saves a whole lot of energy and effort and time. So, wanted to show you that. Thanks so much, and as always, happy computing.